Well, if Ives is good at telling a story, which he is, then John Duke is excellent at invoking an existential crisis in his listeners, which is also a good thing in my opinion. Bells in the Rain was really, really good and a classic example of what I think when I hear the term American art song. You have the piano and the voice working together, and in terms of imagery, really working off of each other. And that's seen right at the beginning, um, with the piano part in the right hand reflecting, depending on your analysis, both the bells and the rain, or either. Whether it's one or the other or both is up to interpretation. I personally see it as both. But also, okay, the first line of the poem is "Sleep falls with limpid drops of rain." And the first thing you're hearing is a descending line in the voice while the harmonic progression is also descending. There's not a lot of harmonic stability in this, excuse me, but unlike the Ives piece, it follows predominantly a circle of fifths motion. So it's not as hard to follow. It's super easy for someone to be like, oh yeah, it's always been in this key if they're not paying attention. But I appreciate the use of the secondary dominance, and if you're listening for the harmonic progression, it does some really cool things, adding to the poetry, because it starts in around E, and then throughout the length of the first stanza, it goes from E, and then it goes down to a fifth down. And the last line of the first stanza, where that chord resolves, is on the word down, indicating that downward motion. There also is a pretty decidedly minor section at the third stanza, talking about rain falling on the dead. Also, cool touch for this part took me a second to analyze, but on the word I think, the key we were just in right before that, which I believe is G minor, she ends, I'm fairly certain, on an F sharp, which is the leading tone, in G minor, but the last chord we hear is a B major, which, it's a 3 chromatic median, which I'm always a fan of, but also taking an unsure thought and turning it into the conclusion of the song is a really, really cool effect, and I would love to hear the song performed live someday, if we're ever allowed to do that again.